Right, so I want you to go ahead and take a deep breath. Maybe turn down the lights too, because you're going to need it. Welcome to today's Explainer. We are stepping straight into a seriously terrifying sequence of recovered events, a real mystery horror case that, honestly, just continues to baffle anyone who studies it. We're doing a complete breakdown of an incident known simply as the haunting of room number 13. So let's just dive right into this dark little journey, shall we?
Okay, picture this. Never open room number 13. That wasn't just some casual friendly advice. According to the source material, this was actually painted on a physical warning board, totally caked in years of dust, just hanging ominously right at the entrance of an abandoned mountain hotel. And what's really wild about this is the absolute finality of it, There's literally no explanation. It's just a strict, eerie command greeting anyone who happens to stumble onto the property.
Which brings us to Ammon. He's the subject of our explainer today. Ammon was a photographer, and he had this very specific, kind of niche fascination with capturing the eerie, silent beauty of desolate, abandoned places. So, an old mountain hotel? That was exactly his kind of canvas. Now, when Ammon saw that dusty warning board, he didn't feel a sense of dread. Actually, he laughed. He totally brushed it off as a cheap scare tactic, figuring it was probably just put up to keep local teenagers out. So armed with absolutely nothing but his camera and a massive dust of skepticism, he walked straight inside this rotting, silent building.
Now, the escalation of dread inside this hotel was incredibly methodical. It's like a giant puzzle slowly coming together. Step 1, a man enters this ruined lobby. Total silence. Just broken chairs, peeling wallpaper, and these really strange, unidentifiable marks scratched deep into the walls. But then we hit step 2. As he starts climbing the main staircase, that heavy silence breaks. He hears footsteps. Tap, tap, tap. Someone or something else is walking. But here's the thing. He knows for a fact that he is completely alone in that building. Fighting through a massive spike of adrenaline, he pushes forward, reaching step 3, the second floor. And there it is, just waiting for him. Room number 13. But the door wasn't locked tightly shut like you'd expect. No, it was half open. As Ammon creeps closer, pulling out his camera to record what he finds, he is suddenly hit by this totally unnatural rush of freezing cold air just blasting out from the darkness of the room. So he pushes the door all the way open and steps inside. And this right here perfectly illustrates how deceptive this location really is. It wasn't some crazy chamber of horrors. It was actually a completely empty space. Literally just 2 objects in the entire room. One incredibly old mirror attached to the wall, and a single wooden chair sitting right in the middle. And honestly, the sheer, mundane simplicity of it is what makes it so incredibly unnerving. Now, pay attention because this is where things get absolutely crazy. A man raises his camera and snaps a photo of that old mirror. Looking through the digital screen of his camera lens, the reflection clearly shows a woman dressed in white standing directly behind him. But when he violently spins around to check the physical room, it's empty. Completely empty. There's absolutely no one there. This entity, it literally only exists through the eye of the lens. As you can imagine, Ammon's hands immediately start shaking. His mind is desperately trying to rationalize the impossible. You know how it is. He's telling himself, oh, it's just a glitch, definitely a malfunction in the camera's sensor. But that comforting little lie is completely shattered a second later, because suddenly the physical room starts reacting. That single wooden chair in the center of the room, it begins to move, slowly dragging itself right across the floor, entirely on its own. And then the mirror starts to change. Right before his eyes, this thick, dark red liquid, which is unmistakably blood, begins to slowly write out a single, urgent sentence across the glass. It says, "Leave this place." Talk about a direct, terrifying threat, right?
Okay, so at this point, panic fully takes over. A man drops all pretense of being this brave urban explorer and absolutely bolts for the door. But the architecture of the hotel has literally warped. It's become a trap. Seconds after leaving the room, he realizes the staircase he used to come up has just vanished. It's completely replaced by a solid wall. A minute later, as he's blindly sprinting, the corridor seemed to stretch into this impossible, endless darkness. And mere moments after that, no matter which direction he runs, the hallway loops him right back to the open door of room number 13.
He is entirely trapped in a spatial loop. And just as that horrific realization sinks in, that there really is no escape, a slow, haunting whisper echoes from the pitch-black darkness directly behind him. It's a woman's voice, barely louder than a breath, saying, "You have seen me."
Aman squeezes his eyes tightly shut. He absolutely does not want to look. He tries to run forward into the dark, just relying purely on survival instinct, but he is stopped dead in his tracks. A hand, literally freezing cold like ice, clamps down super hard onto his shoulder, pinning him in place.
He's forced to slowly turn around, bringing him face to face with just sheer contrasting horror. On one hand, the entity is dressed in pristine, flowing white clothing. But contrasting that bright white is the absolute void where her face should be. There are zero features, and where her eyes should be, there's just endless, pitch-black darkness.
The faceless woman leans in close, this suffocating cold radiating right off of her, and delivers her final, horrifying promise to Amen. Now you will never be able to leave. Amen lets out this blood-curdling scream of pure terror, and the camera just slips from his trembling hands, crashing down onto the wooden floorboards.
Well, the next morning brought a harsh shift to the cold, clinical facts of the aftermath. A search party ventured into the hotel looking for him, but they didn't find Eamon. He was just completely missing. The only thing left behind was his camera, lying exactly where it had fallen on the floor of room 13. And when authorities finally reviewed the footage, the final recording captured Eamon's terrified scream, followed by a truly chilling visual. The faceless woman, leaning down, looking directly into the camera lens, and smiling.
To this very day, Amen has never been found. The local authorities eventually just shut the investigation down, but the grim reality of that mountain hotel remains exactly as it was. The curse of room 13 is literally just waiting for the next skeptic. The source material ends with one incredibly chilling fact. Anyone who walks into that hotel and actually opens the door to room number 13 never returns.
Which leaves us with a final, lingering thought for today's explainer. Knowing what you know now, if you are ever exploring the dark and you happen to see a closed door with a warning, will you step inside? If you enjoyed unraveling this mystery horror story with us today, make sure to like this explainer, let me know down in the comments which scene gave you the biggest chill, and definitely don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on our deep dives. Until next time, if you see a closed door in the dead of night, you know what? It might be best to just walk away.